Chapter 9. "You did it for me, didn't you?" Adam asked, an arm around me as we left the room together for the first time in weeks. "So we could be together. Despite everything you said, you just couldn't stand being away from me, right?" Part of me remained tied up in knots at what I'd done, and part of me wanted to stay aloof from Adam, not wanting to be hurt after what Bettina had said. But looking up at his handsome, confident face, I couldn't stay angry. Instead, I smiled and said, "Actually, I did it for me." Juan fell into step beside us. "Did she tell you how we plastered the school last night? You should have seen her climb that fence like a commando. Cool as a killer, man. I never knew you had that side to you, Amy." "Oh, come on," I chided. "If you hadn't agreed to come, I'd never have had the guts." We had fun, though, didn't we? Our escapade had created a special bond of affection between us. Adam noticed and turned silent and aloof. I went on chatting with Juan, hoping Adam would get over his rudeness, until Juan left us at the stairs. For the next moments, Adam and I walked together without speaking. Finally, I said, "What's wrong?" "You tell me," Adam exclaimed. "What's going on between you and that macho Mex?" "Adam!" I couldn't believe what I heard. "What's with you, Amy? Since when do you call on Juan? How come you didn't phone me to go with you?" "I don't see where it's your right to tell me who to see or not. Did I say you shouldn't go to the beach because all those girls would be around? And anyway, you were up in the mountains, as I recall." Pride wouldn't let me add, "with your real friends." "You could have waited a day." "I'm not even sure you would have gone along with it. You're an orange, aspiring to rise in Otero's magic kingdom." "What's gotten into you? What's with all this sarcasm?" "It's the second time you've asked that." "Well, nothing's gotten into me. Maybe this is who I really am. Do you prefer the good old quiet, don't make waves me?" My throat ached and my heart pounded in my ears. Somehow I couldn't shut up that mean rush of words. By now we'd reached my typing class, and the warning bell had rung, so Adam should have been leaving for his own class. We stood in the hall staring at each other, glaring at each other really, as the last stragglers hurried by. Suddenly, all my anger drained away and I put a hand on Adam's. "Why are we arguing like this? We can be together now without all those outside pressures. There's enough meanness in the upper colors without hurting each other, too." I held out my hand with its orange armband. "I'm just a lowly orange, just like you now. Let's not fight. Let's work together." Adam's eyes softened and he took my hand in his. "You're right, and I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that about Juan. Forgive me?" "Sure." He glanced down the hall. "I better go. But we're having an orange meeting at my house at 4. Can you be there?" "Sure." He nodded, turned, and strode away, blowing me a kiss before disappearing around a corner. I stood for a long moment, staring off at nothing, thinking. How quickly I'd accepted Adam's apology about Juan. But how hard it would be to forget what he'd said. Did he really think of Juan that way? What would happen, I wondered, when he didn't like something I said or did? Would he view me as a Jap then? As I went into the typing room, I thought about his weekend. He'd said nothing about the party, about Eileen and the others, as if he owed me no explanations. Then what right had he to question me about Juan? Confused and troubled, I took my seat and uncovered the electric typewriter. We were having a timed test. Usually I could forget everything, except what magic flowed from my eyes through my head to my fingers. Now, as I rolled a paper into the machine, all I could see was Adam, and the cold, superior look he'd had on his face when he spoke about Juan. They were meeting in the game room, in the back of Adam's home, a maid said, as she ushered me through endless corridors, to a room I'd not seen before. It was big enough to hold 100 people comfortably, and the 12 to 15 kids seemed lost in the huge space. Some were clustered around 2 large game tables, playing or kibitzing. Others, including Adam,
sat near a stone fireplace, talking and laughing. In the background, I heard an old Beatles album playing. As soon as Adam saw me, he rushed forward, taking my hand and drawing me into the room. "Hey, everyone, look who's here! The Joan of Arc of Ray Otero's class!" "3 cheers for Amy!" someone cried, as everyone gathered at the fireplace. The room rang with cheers. I covered my face in embarrassment, but not before noticing something odd. 2 of Adam's friends, Troy Crichton and Dana Ellerby, hadn't joined in the cheering. They'd stood there, slightly apart, with strange, aloof, suspicious smiles on their faces. Adam lit the wood in the stone fireplace, and soon a roaring fire burned. We sat on leather chairs and sofas, or on the floor, and ate sandwiches from a silver tray. I sat on the floor, leaning against Adam's legs, and thought how very different it was from being a Blue. How very pleasant. Juan arrived late, looking around as if he felt uncomfortable. He gestured at the rich surroundings, the oriental rugs, the wall of books, the paintings. "If this is the life of an orange, let me at it." Adam gave him a strained smile and made a space for him near us. Some of the kids tittered. Troy and Dana exchanged knowing glances. Juan had always been forthright, but this observation made me uncomfortable. He was right, of course. If this was a gathering of really poor people, we'd be meeting in a church hall or in a tiny apartment smelling of cooking and loud with the noises of too many people. To ease the tension, I said, "One nice thing about being an orange is getting together like this. When I was a Blue, we never met after school." "Sure, why would you?" Troy asked, with the same odd smile he'd had when I first came in. "You already had everything. Why would you give all that up?" Because... I stopped, a cold chill running down my back. Would he understand that you condone a system if you don't oppose what you don't like? "You act like you don't believe we're for real," Juan said, reaching for another sandwich. Dana ignored his response. Smiling sweetly, as if she didn't mean a word of harm, she asked, "Did it ever occur to you guys that they might be spies? Spies Otero planted to find out what we're up to?" She gazed around at everyone except me. I stiffened, and Adam squeezed my shoulder comfortingly. "Come on, Dana. You always think the worst of people. Why don't you take what Amy did at face value?" "Yeah, sure, Dana," one of the others offered. "We've got enough troubles without you putting doubts in our head about our own people." I kept this fixed smile on my face, trembling inside. Even though nobody really believed what Dana had said, she'd planted doubt. I huddled closer to Adam's legs. "We're here to talk about what's going on with us," Troy said. "So tell me how you'd handle this one. I was in the locker room yesterday, getting ready for soccer practice, and this guy Paul, you know who I mean, he's talking to some guy next to him, no one in the color game, and he says, loud enough for everyone to hear, 'If a light green were to marry an orange, what would their kid be like?'" "Too dumb to steal," Juan said grimly. For a second, no one laughed. Then everyone did. Juan smiled. "I don't see what's so funny," Dana Ellerby said. "I heard the same joke 2 months ago," Juan said, "except it was about a Latino into black." "Well, what do we do about it? Are we going to stand for these put-downs without putting up a fight? Should we maybe answer with some good jokes of our own?" "Like what?" someone asked. "Most mean jokes like that are racist or about the poor. Is that what Otero's been trying to show? That jokes say what we really feel?" "So what are we here for?" Troy asked. "If we can't do anything about the way we're treated, what's the good? No matter how I try, I get fined. I write in my journal every day like a good obedient orange, and a G4 makes fun of it. I bow and curtsy until my back aches and get fined the next day for what I didn't do. I protest the fine, and Otero makes me look stupid. What's the use of trying? They want to keep us down, and they're doing it." "Yeah," Dana said. "When Jill began organizing us, what does Otero do? Promote her, and the whole idea fell apart once she left." "Maybe what Amy did will change things," Adam said, stroking my hair. "How?" Dana asked.
dripping sarcasm. I picked at a thread on my jeans, wishing we could change the subject. Bowing to everyone was an act of respect for others. She was saying all colors are equal.
So when everyone has a chance to think about it, maybe they'll start doing the same thing. Don't bet on it, one said. You know what, Martinez? Troy's voice turned nasty. All you've done so far is snipe. How come you let yourself be demoted? I'd think you'd want to be a blue or dark green so you could get all that hostility out on us oranges. Juan's face flushed, and his eyes darted around. In the uncomfortable silence, I became aware that he and I were the only minorities in the room. If someone didn't speak up fast, he might just walk out. Cut it, Troy, Adam said quickly. If we're going to fight among ourselves, we won't get anywhere. We have a lot to discuss.
Right, I piped in, eager to keep our unity and change the subject. For instance, the papers you no-techs have to type for us. They're due Friday.
I looked up at Adam, holding my breath. How would you like to type mine, sweet thing? I hadn't planned to ask that way, but it just came out. The last time Adam had asked me to type his paper, he'd called me sweet thing. Adam's face flushed. Come on now, Amy, you know that's just a joke. Nobody really expects the guys to type the girls' papers. Oh, no? There was a chorus of protest from the girls. Of course not. When would I have time? We've got the midterm in Otero's class Friday, and I've got a bio quiz to study for. I've got soccer practice until 5 Thursday. I've got... Ah, I interrupted. But you're such a good typist. You got a B+ in it last year, didn't you? And it shouldn't take long. Amy. Adam's eyes went dark. Maybe he was recalling that these were almost the same words he'd used on me, and the same tone of voice. I almost backed down, but some stubborn instinct kept me gazing up at him, with that same kind of puppy-dog helplessness he used on me when he wanted a paper typed. It's all right, Adam, I said, reaching up to touch his face. I won't make it too long, and I'll give it to you tomorrow, so you'll have 2 whole days to get it done. I couldn't believe these words were coming from me. Adam emitted a resigned groan. These techs, he exclaimed with exaggerated sarcasm, are really something. I'll just have to give it to Dad's secretary. I opened my mouth to protest, then shut it. I'd gone as far as I dared. The room rang with the shrill cries of girls and the angry bellows of boys at the injustice of typing the girls' papers. I thought how rare for us to have this kind of power over males, and how uncomfortable. It just didn't feel natural to use boys the way they so often used us. For the rest of the meeting, we talked about all kinds of things, the midterm on Friday and what kind of trick questions Otero might ask, putting out an underground newspaper, the male beauty contest, and planning a rally. That's what stirred the most interest and excitement. If we could somehow show the whole school how we often practice prejudice and injustice without even realizing it, and do it without G-Force finding out and stopping us, we'd have done something really important. We figured we could hand out petitions, hang up posters, have speakers, but what we needed was some symbol that would bring us all together as one. You know, I mused, I read that during World War II, the Germans made the Dutch Jews sew stars on their sleeves to set them apart as inferior. So the rest of the Dutch people sewed stars on their sleeves too. What do you think about us making 4-color armbands for everyone to wear, not just the color game players? Everyone loved the idea, but it meant work. Lots of work. We needed materials and sewing machines and plenty of help. Juan came up with a plan. My mom does piecework for a dress manufacturer, he said. We've got boxes and boxes of scrap material at home. A little self-conscious, he added, If you want, we could all meet at my house next time and work there.